I'm Chip Townsend, and this is the Team Chip Podcast.
That if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. They are connected digitally, but they are dying for the human interaction.
Try to gain their respect that way as opposed to just, I'm the teacher, you have to listen to me. I mean, how fair is it for us to get that grace from Jesus, but we don't give it? All right, guys, welcome back to the Team Chip Podcast. Man, I know I say it every week, but I'm, again, super excited to be here. I've been dying to get this man on our podcast to chat with him just a little bit. Today, I have Mr. Brian Lacroix. Brian Lacroix is the Southside Abilene Chick-fil-A owner-operator and has, just a crazy, unique experience, an amazing business culture. You know, you drive up and there's like 2 to 3 lanes of drive-through going on, and you park and you think, whoa, do I want to go in there? And 5 minutes you're through the drive-through going, wow, how did that happen? It's just amazing. So Brian, thank you for being here.
Privilege.
I'm pumped to have you and talk a little bit today. We're going to talk some about kind of leading the next generation, managing staff. And I thought we would lean that towards young staff. And my reasoning behind that, and I'm sorry, I'll let you say hello in a minute, but a lot of martial arts schools, we have young staff. And I think we're in a unique position. It's a little bit different because we a lot of times raise them in the school from early, but yours is different, man. You're out there kind of fishing in the big ocean for staff, right? So
yes, we are.
So anyway, welcome and thank you for being here. And I hope I didn't mess up your title.
No, you did great. Thank you so much. It's an absolute privilege to be here. So
awesome.
Huge fan of yours. And
likewise.
Yeah.
You know, people out there in the bigger world may not be familiar with you, but in Abilene and around Abilene, Brian is super well known as having the heart the size of Texas, willing to help, fostering kids. You guys have adopted a baby as well. It's just an unbelievable family and an unbelievable. I like to use business terms, and in our part of our mission model and belief statement in Team Chip, we talk about trying to help people to be assets in our society, which means they're not a liability, a cost, but they're giving back. You guys are monster assets.
I love that.
You guys are, you and Miss Melanie, you guys are monster assets to our society, to our community.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, we love you guys.
Very, very much.
Something that sticks out in my head was the ice apocalypse we had several years ago.
Yeah.
Texas kind of shut down electricity and all these things. And the next thing I know, you're donating hundreds upon hundreds, and I'm probably not getting it right.
That's okay.
Chicken sandwiches to churches, and primarily one church that I remember for people to go there because they couldn't stay warm and their houses. Yeah, it just unbelievable. So
it was cool.
Yeah, we're thankful for you and all you do in our community.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yep.
Very kind of you.
Yeah. Hey, man, I'm trying. I got nothing bad to say. I also get the bonus of every now and then getting to train on the mat with you, and I love that as well.
Yeah, if you guys haven't trained with Chip, it's a humbling experience. Can I tell about my first time?
Are you sure you want to do that?
I'm gonna embarrass myself here.
Embarrass me too.
So I'm not really 100% believing this jiu-jitsu thing, and my brother's been doing it for years, and he's like, dude, you're gonna love this. And Chip was very kind enough to let me come in and train for about a month in street clothes. And finally one day I looked at him and he's looking at me and he's like, you really kind of want to see how this goes? And I said, yeah, I really do. And it was 14 seconds later that I'm tapping and he just let me go all after him, kind of thing. We got, as you said, let's get spicy. And I said, wow, okay. And he said, you ready for round 2? And I said, sure. And I think I got 17 seconds before I was twisted into a pretzel, and I went, okay, now I get it. And that was about 2 years ago. And so it's been an absolute pleasure training with you and learning from you and getting to be with your staff and your team.
Thank you.
But I got to point out today, too, I'm wearing Team Chip black, but I appreciate that you're wearing Chick-fil-A red, baby. So this is awesome. Right. This is awesome.
I love it, man. Supporting the Friends team over there.
Amen.
So, we got to spend some time in a Bible study before I finally kind of convinced you to get on the mat. And then we're in another, I call it a mastermind interact group that we meet weekly in. And, man, just a blessing to get to be around with you. So we've probably beat that up long enough. I wanted to jump in with you and talk a little bit, Mr. Brian, about, kind of young, understanding your young staff demographic. So if you will you tell us like how many staff members you have. If you don't mind
Yeah.
sharing some things about how the business operates, just a little bit from that perspective.
Sure.
And how many of those guys are kind of teens, high school, college, maybe?
Yeah. So right now our staff is probably around 175 people.
Oh my gosh.
And so over 100 are probably 20 years younger,
Wow.
20 years or younger.
Over 100 of those are 20 or under.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And if you guys have never heard of Dr. Tim Elmore, I would recommend you check some of his stuff out. He's the author of Habitudes.
Yes.
And he's somebody that I study a lot because this is the first time that in our history as America, to my understanding, that we've had 5 generations working together.
Wow.
So at one point, my youngest team member was 14 and my oldest team member was 92.
Whoa, that is awesome.
So
That's
you talk
awesome on many
about-
levels.
Yes. So here we are trying to figure out, okay, how do we relate? How do we inspire? How do we get our culture to a 92-year-old
Right.
to a 14-year-old? And so, yeah, it's an adventure every day. Some of the rhythms that we use is we do some weekly leadership meetings, probably
Nice.
like most everybody who's listening and you guys do. If you don't, I would recommend that rhythm. It's fantastic.
Right.
Definitely keeps us aligned and rowing in the same direction, right? And then from there, we actually break it down even smaller into, and don't laugh, but a group of chickens is called a brood.
Yeah. Right.
And so we have broods, and so
Nice.
our team members are paired up with leaders, and they're supposed to meet once a month
Right.
for 20 to 30 minutes, and that's where we found a lot of momentum lately in
Yeah.
our culture is some of that one-on-one time.
I love
And
it.
so, so going back though, that is we've got 3 tiers of leadership. We have a director, we have a manager, we have a team lead, and then we have a team member. And so that's just kind of a little bit about our organization.
That's amazing. I love the brood.
It's pretty funny. So
Being a country kid who's raised chickens,
So I
get it.
tried this years ago, and we called them pods, right?
Right.
And so you're in this pod, and I'm leading this pod, and somebody over here is leading this pod. It just didn't work. And so me and my director of leadership at the time were sitting there going, "What do we call these?" And he looks at me, and I was like, "I've got nothing, man."
Right.
And he's like, "What's a group of chickens?" And I said, "Oh, I don't know."
Genius.
I mean, it's got to be a flock, right? I mean, what bird isn't? And so he goes, broods. And I went, that's a fun word.
Yeah.
So here we are. Yeah.
You know what I love about what you said? Fun.
Yeah.
I have a feeling you keep things kind of light and fun when you can, right?
Yeah. So that's kind of my job is I'm probably the best distraction when I come into work. And so there's a lot of times they're like, hey, you need to kind of move and get out of the way, which is great, right?
Right.
Because we've got the culture to the point where I'm not needed to drive it 100%.
Right.
But yeah, there's, as Truett said, who's our founder, Truett Cathy's our founder, as Truett said, if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
You know, I tend to be the distraction around
Yeah.
our building sometimes, going through,
Yeah.
you know, making people smile and kind of poking fun. You know, I have a prosthetic eye, so sometimes I take padded swords. I haven't done this in a while. And I go running through the building and I'll schwack somebody with it and scream out, "One eye samurai."
Yeah.
And I'm sure, you know, the kids are like, "What is going on?" I know it sounds crazy,
You're
but
scarring children for life. That's awesome, Chip. What a great business
yes,
model.
sir.
Yeah, right?
I do my best.
Love it.
But you know, I think it's awesome. You got to have fun. I love the
Yeah.
brood. That's amazing. Finding ways to connect it to the chicken world, but yet make it fun.
Well, and the struggle, right, is as your organization grows,
Yeah.
how do you keep that small family feel? And this is how we're attacking it right now. Is that guerrilla warfare?
Yeah. Oh, I love it, man. Grassroots. Like, so, talk to me a little about the evolution of that. You know, in the beginning, I'm going to stupidly assume you were trying to have bigger team meetings and you were finding it's not working and you kind of played with the idea of smalling it out, or
A little bit. Honestly, it came from time.
right?
I don't know that I've got the time to do full team meetings effectively and to do them well.
Right.
And so you guys all know death by meetings. There's
Yes.
no reason to have meetings unless you should.
Patrick Lencioni. That's
yeah,
right.
great stuff. And so really it was one of those, okay, how do we effectively communicate
Right.
what we're wanting to do? But I'm going to actually flip it.
Right.
The reason that we really found momentum was, one, we were having some turnover issues, and two, the generations that are coming up, they don't have anybody to talk to.
Right. Okay.
They're all connected through the digital,
Yes.
but they're not connected.
They're not connected literally physically. Right.
They're connected digitally,
Right.
but they are dying for the human interaction like we're
interaction.
having right now.
I love it.
And so we kind of did the experiment. Okay, what would happen if we put the two strangers together and start talking?
Right.
Are they going to talk?
Right.
And we couldn't get them to shut up.
Wow.
And that was the craziest thing to me. I would have lost so much money betting that they would have said, yeah, we're good. And after 5 minutes, they're like, we don't really know what to do, so let's leave.
Right.
And all of a sudden, it's 30 minutes later, and they've gotten into some real conversation that you're going, oh, okay. And so that's where the broods have just kept momentum going.
Very cool.
Even into my director of leadership has left. I've got a different one now, and they're still continuing to be effective. And so it's just amazing how the young people want somebody to talk to.
Absolutely. I believe it.
Yep.
I think that's something God wired into us, that need,
the community, right?
Community and human connection. And so I can see that. I don't want to get sidetracked into a philosophical religious discussion, but, we all have a hole in our heart. And many times we try to fill that hole with money, cars, clothes, things, and it never fills.
Yep.
And, you have buyer's remorse a week after you buy that car that you think is going to just make you happy for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And you if you really sit down and think about it, you realize only Jesus fills that hole, right?
Yeah.
And community and friendship and relation and connection helps, right? And I think that's just what popped in my head when you start talking about that. I'm like,
it's crazy
my
how
gosh.
material fades.
Yeah, absolutely fades away. Yeah. So, your pod, you were talking about what I'm thinking about in the martial arts world. One of the things that we do is we have our different levels of instructorship and then leadership team. And we have leadership team meetings that are kind of a big meeting, but we always sub them down into small groups. And we have them role play. We have a leader in each of those groups that kind of directs that. I mean, I need to take some notes from you on how I can tighten that up. But
probably both.
I love that concept. And I push really hard with our team, and I'd love for you to speak to this as well. Like, I do one-on-one meetings every week with kind of my key leaders in our organization. And I just schedule a half an hour, and in those meetings, it's kind of personal. I don't like dig into their personal life, but hey, how are you?
Yeah.
How are you feeling? How are you doing? Do you feel okay being here? How's your experience been over the last week or 2 weeks? And a lot of times I find what they do is they'll begin to maybe even vent a little bit about, home or something that happened in another venue somewhere, and just kind of lets them get it off their chest. And that's pretty powerful. But is that kind of the concept you're talking about around the pods a little bit, kind of a little, or is it more 100%. When you put them in the pod? Okay, good.
No, 100%, because I think what you're experiencing is what I'm experiencing, where this generation coming,
right?
They don't separate work, family, school, it's all this mess.
Right.
And they need help navigating the mess.
Right.
Or as you call it in jiu-jitsu, the gray.
The gray. That's right.
How do you manage the gray?
Right.
And so all of a sudden you find yourself in this personal conversation, but we all know that if you're not happy at home, how are you going to be happy anywhere else?
Absolutely.
And if you're not happy at home, you can't be happy at work.
Absolutely.
And so if they have no one else to talk to, I mean, you open the door. To me, that speaks volumes that they're trusting you enough to talk about it.
For sure.
Because I think there's a lot of leaders out there that are trying, but they haven't earned the trust of the team member.
Right.
So they're just having this kind of awkward conversation, and they're not really solving anything or getting anywhere.
Right. So you just said something, you were talking about trust, and kind of what popped in my head, and I hope I don't lead us the wrong way here, but in the martial arts world, we inspect what we expect pretty heavily most of the time. And as we age, obviously there'll be some limitations that begin to happen with our body and aging, et cetera. But, I think we, for the most part, we lead by example. And therein, when you set a pace for the students and the people, it's easier, I think, for them to respect, right, and to build that relationship and gain some trust. And I know I've presented this idea to school teachers for years. I used to speak every year at the AISD kind of back to school.
Oh, their commencement kind of
stuff, right?
Yeah.
I would come in and do a clinic, and one of the things that I would talk to the teachers about is, look, one of the first things we have to do with our people is gain their respect, but we don't demand it. We show them something that inspires them or kind of lights their fire, like, wow, that's cool. And so I would tell the teacher, I'd say, look, if you're a math teacher and you teach fundamental math, maybe find this high level algebraic equation that you can just first day, meet all the kids, put it on the board and say, guys, I'm going to show you something cool. Break that equation down and work through it. And inside that equation, there's going to be some fundamental math.
Yeah.
right here, we're going to work on this year. And make it something that ties to their life that maybe kind of excites them. I don't know what that equation would be, but something that would excite them a little bit, and let them see you demonstrate something that kind of awes them a little bit and draw them in and try to gain their respect that way, as opposed to just, I'm the teacher, you have to listen to me, right?
Man.
So
I wish that would have been my math teacher. And I wish they would have used money.
Right.
To take $5 and to make an equation somehow to $5, and then the kid who can get it right gets it.
Yeah.
I mean, anything creative would have been awesome.
Awesome. Right.
Yeah.
Creativity.
Other than turn to page 12. And I'm just like, oh. And I wasn't a terrible student, but man, I look back now and I'm going, man, this could have been a lot of fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, hey, you mentioned Tim Elmore Habitudes. I am familiar. I haven't studied Tim Elmore a ton. I kind of know his lineage a little bit because I'm a student of John Maxwell. But anyway, what are the things that you kind of study and do to kind of understand the up and coming generation, if that makes sense?
Yeah,
so when you do deal
that's
with
a great
them,
question.
You can connect with them.
So we have an annual meeting with Chick-fil-A,
Right.
And we are privileged to some great speakers,
Right.
and then there's some breakout sessions. And anytime Dr. Elmore's there, or anybody is talking about the next generation,
Right.
I go. This past year, it was a young lady. I forget the university she was from. Not great content, but still walked away with a couple ideas.
Nice.
To be honest, I had to write them down, and I
Right.
don't have them in front of me.
No, it's all good.
But what I love about Dr. Elmore is he is just studying the next generation, and he's talking about, okay, Gen Z's coming, and they are not trusting. They are very willing to work.
Right.
They are this, and this.
Right.
And that's what I'm kind of looking at. And then I'm trying to take it back to the restaurant and going,
How do
is
I
what
overcome?
what I'm hearing is what I'm seeing.
Right.
Some of it, yes. And then I've also got teenagers in my house.
Right.
So I've got a great, petri dish of all kinds of fun that we're trying out, where I'm going, okay, if I use punctuation, is this really offensive to you?
Right.
And my kids are telling me no, but I've got some team members telling me yes. And that's one example, right?
Really? Wow.
Yes. I learned that was what the young lady told us this year. That's what it was. Sorry, I didn't have to write it down. If we use punctuation, it's almost like we're yelling at
Really?
at the 14, 15, 16-year-old.
Wow.
And they're like, why are you mad? Not even capitalized. No capital letters.
Yeah. You know
Just correct
what's
punctuation.
interesting about that is I hate to say this, I'm struggling as an older guy with keyboards. Like, I'd much rather see your face while we talk. That way I
Yeah.
can get the body language and understand what you're saying, and I don't have to assume that you're yelling. Right. So
100%.
that is a very interesting concept.
What I would love to say, though, real quick,
Right.
is the generation coming can change
Absolutely.
faster, I think, than anybody that we've had in the workforce in my lifetime. They're not going to, we're not working 25 years for the watch,
Right.
30 years for the gun, and then we
Right.
retire and that kind of thing. They're willing to change
Right.
if it can help them.
Wow. If they can see the value
If
in
they
it.
can see the value in
change.
it, they will change tomorrow.
You know, that's interesting because us older guys are not real good on change sometimes.
No, because I mean, it's just so many different ways, right?
Yeah.
One, it's painful
Yes.
for usually us. And two, is it really better?
Right.
Because I've been doing it this way and I've had success for a long time.
Oh man, the let's keep doing it because we've always done it mindset's not good.
No, it's not. It's not. But
So the young guys are better than us at that stuff. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, I love it.
I think so.
It's funny you said that. A while back I was having a conversation with Michael Bob Starr. I don't know if you know Michael.
Oh, he's
Bob.
awesome.
Yeah, super good guy. He was the base commander here at Dice.
Yes, he
and
was.
a B-1 pilot, has a world record for fastest ascent in a B-1 and some different things like that. And just a neat guy. But he one day told me, it's been a couple of years ago, we were having the conversation. It was kind of when the conversation was heavy about how millennials are lazy and millennials won't work and all
yeah.
this stuff about millennials, right? And he said, we were sitting at a lunch just kind of having a chit chat. And he said, Chip, millennials are amazing. He
I agree.
They're working machines if you will pay attention to them, respect them, treat them right.
Yep.
And he said, if our country goes to war, we're safe. He said, these guys are killers, And I thought, what a great thing to hear, because you just don't hear that. I think all of us, as we generation age, tend to kind of look down on the next guys coming up a little bit. And yeah.
Can I share a funny story?
Do it.
So I've got my 92-year-old lady.
Right.
Just complaining about the generations.
Right.
And I looked at her and I said, Can I ask you a question? And I folded my arms just like this. And I said, what'd your grandparents talk about your generation?
Oh.
And these are the like mid 1800s, late 1800s
yes.
folks. I mean, these are the folks who are, I don't know how they dug a hole with the shovels they had.
Absolutely.
She's like, well, yeah, you're right. They complained about us too being lazy. And I said, okay, I just want to make sure it's all rolled downhill.
It's all rolling right
for the last 200 years, right?
Yes.
And so, but I agree with Michael Bob Starr. I mean, every generation's awesome.
Yeah,
it's just, are you going to choose to adapt a little bit of you to them?
Yes.
But then help them realize that they need to adapt a little bit.
Yeah.
To get better. I mean,
There's
you got to meet them where they're at.
A little give and take on both sides. You just said something that a lot of people need to hear. You've got to meet people where they are.
Yeah. I mean, we can throw some faith in there, right? Christ meets you where you are, usually.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus will meet you where you're at.
Right where you are, baby.
But we as leaders also, we can't be so stiff.
You're right.
We've got to be fluid.
I mean, how fair is it for us to get that grace from Jesus, but we don't give it?
Ooh.
Little kick in the teeth right there. So
that might be where we stop.
boom.
Yeah,
Mic
right.
drop. Let's walk out. No. Oh man, this is good stuff. So I wanted to hit on the generation thing. I am a fan of that as well. I'm going to admit I don't spend a ton of time studying like the, baby boomer, Gen X, and Gen Y, millennial. I haven't, and I should, because I agree with you. I think there's a lot of power in that, and I think that's very interesting and probably something that we should all dig into more. So you do find that helpful in understanding kind of their general, I guess, kind of characteristics and personalities in a way.
I mean, they're stereotypes. Right.
Sure.
They're stereotypes, but at the same time, and you're doing this, I'm doing this, probably a lot of the leaders watching this are doing this, is just go spend time with them.
Yes.
And just listen.
Yes.
Watch their mannerisms, listen to what they're talking about. And then what music?
Yeah.
There's the great communicator.
Yep. I like that. Yeah. I was going to ask you, what are some of the key things you do to motivate them? And I think you just hit the nail on the head. Just listen to them and pay attention. Connect with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really.
This is the energy drink generation. So that's between music and which energy drink do they prefer?
Right.
That's where you connect.
That's where you begin to connect.
That's where, yeah. I had a 5-minute conversation yesterday in my kitchen with 3 young ladies about Red Bull.
That's awesome.
They were so excited to talk about Red Bull.
Yeah. That is so cool. It's so interesting because I remember conversations when I was younger. If an older person would listen to something I cared about, I liked them.
Pretty cool.
I liked them. And that's just a timeless truth. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
So what are some kind of common challenges you do face with managing a younger staff? Just some things, throw some stuff out there.
So I would say one of the biggest challenges is okay, you come on, or I'm a brand new teenager coming into your culture. I'm not ready to buy in 100% from day one.
Right.
I want to see if you're exactly what you said you were. And then I want to see if the other leaders are what they said you were.
Right.
I mean, they're very skeptical.
And
very
they want
skeptical.
to test the water some.
They really do. They really do. And they also kind of are just always looking. Mm-hmm. But they are connected to their phone. So they're worried about missing out. Mm-hmm. So they got FOMO.
Fear of missing out.
Baby. Yeah. So I'm at work, I'm having fun, I'm making money, I'm engaged, but it is in my pocket.
Right.
What's going on?
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Do you have any rules around the phones? Do you
allow
phones or not allow phones?
So I fought this battle for the beginning of cell phones, right?
Right.
Where when I even had to have my wife co-sign so I could get a cell phone. That's how poor I was. We fought it and said, okay, Chip, you can't have your phone on you. Brian, you can't have your phone on you. And I mean, I had battles with parents. I had battles with teenagers. And then we finally were in a meeting one day and I said, hey, I have a question. We're losing. We've been losing for a while. And I'm tired of losing.
Right.
What would happen if we just let them have their phone and then we just teach them etiquette and teach them how to use the phone as a tool versus it's part of my life. Mm-hmm. It's who I am.
Right.
And so far that's been pretty cool.
Right.
We're not awesome at it, but I mean, you're still going to drive by and sometimes see a kid on their phone. But for the most part, they understand that if we're customer facing,
right,
it needs to be in the pocket.
In the pocket, right.
And we understand that if we're customer facing and we get caught on it, it may disappear.
Right.
and we don't know when we'll get it back.
Right.
Because you're on our time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So for right now, we have said, hey, we're going to treat you like adults. We're going to treat you with respect and with honor and dignity, and then we're going to expect you to do that with everybody else.
Mm-hmm. I like that a lot.
And we're different than you, right? So we're not in a physical space where
we're physically contacting.
You guys are physically moving.
But I'll tell you, I couldn't believe it myself. I can't believe we're at this point.
Yep.
But I never thought we would be allowing our instructors to have their phones on them, but we do.
Yep.
Some of them have uniform pants that have a pocket in the back, and they can stick it in their back pocket. And we wear the traditional fold over, like the jiu-jitsu gi in our traditional kickboxing and taekwondo program, and they'll just poke it inside like a pocket. And so it's right inside a lot of times. But the point is we have become more lenient with it because we encourage them every now and then in a class when an opportunity pops up, pop back, snap a good picture, and sometimes a quick little video. And this is powerful. So like you have a kid that's struggling with a technique. Hey, hold tight. I'm going to film you. 5 seconds. Film them. Boom. They do it and show it to them.
It's awesome.
And they go, whoa, right?
So we're doing that too.
Really? That's so cool.
Chip, I need you to smile more. But I smile all the time. Really? Look at this.
Look at this. That's
Check
awesome.
this video out.
Right.
This is you for the last 5 minutes.
Right.
And you haven't smiled once at anybody that walked in. You're just like, hi, I can help you. So we're doing the same thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I just never imagined in the martial arts world in our business that we would be allowing phones, because forever it was like you walk in the door, phone goes at the front counter.
Yeah.
Get to work. You don't need a phone. You don't need to be distracted.
100%.
But now, as a matter of fact, today we have a PDF written that is best practices for good pictures. And all of our instructors have to read it. And today we have a testing coming up this weekend, which will be a really busy event and weekend where people are working for the next ranks. And Glenann sent it out as a refresher for all the instructors, a link, and said, hey, you guys, refresh on this and let's catch some good pictures while things are going on this weekend.
See, look at us.
Yeah.
Constant change, baby. We're adaptability. Baby. Look at us. You can high five on that one.
So guys, you're not so stuck we can't change a little.
No.
But it's powerful because sometimes they come up with some of the most amazing little pictures for of the kids. And again, multi-levels. It's some of it's for our social media, but some of it is actually so they can flip it right around and show the kid, look at what this looks like. And the kid can go either like, wow, or, oh, I see what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Such a powerful tool.
Big time.
Absolutely.
Big time.
So how, I think it's pretty heavy and we've already kind of leaned into it, but how important is like feedback in your culture? How do you get these young guys to be open to feedback, and how do you kind of cross that bridge?
So we do I think it's 8-week course now. It's been a 10 and a 12-week course. We call it a personal growth course.
Right.
And it's for any team member before they try to become a leader.
Got it.
And so they have to do this. Now, you're not guaranteed promotion.
Right.
So this is just, we want to make you better. And then I think we've had 150 go through it. Hands down, there's a feedback section. It's 1 week where different leaders are giving them, they're giving them real feedback.
Right.
And hands down, it's never not been their favorite thing.
Really?
Of the whole course. So I show up on the last day and I go, okay, y'all tell me about it. Hey, what was your favorite part of this?
Right.
100% of the answers have always been, I loved when I got feedback.
Wow.
So I test this all the time, right? So I've got a young leader who we would call actively disengaged right now.
Right.
And he is struggling. And he comes in and sits next to me the other day in the office to have his break food, which to me, that is an open invitation.
Right.
For a conversation.
Conversation time.
And he makes a comment and I'm on it, white on rice, baby.
Yeah.
And I said, all right, you want to know? And he's like, yeah. And I said, are you sure? And he said, yeah. And I said, okay, here we go. And we just talked for real.
Right.
About how right now, buddy, if everybody in the restaurant could fire one person, you're it. And he just goes, seriously? And I said, yeah, it's that bad right now, your disengagement level. And the problem is you're recruiting others through your words, your actions, and just your comments to join you.
Right.
And you're Darth Vader. You are
drawing people to the dark side.
You are drawing people to the dark side, baby. But throughout the conversation, he's receptive because he knows I'm sincere.
Right.
I'm not filling language.
Right.
I mean, I'm just getting to the point, and then I'm also giving him solutions of, hey, if you would just fix 1, 2, 3,
Right.
you're right back where you need to be.
Need to be.
So nothing crazy. It's just helping him realize that, dude, you're drifting.
Right.
And you've got to get back on course.
Right.
And he walks away going, okay.
Okay.
Have a very similar conversation months prior
Right.
with a young lady who we had to demote. And she stayed and worked her way back up
That's
into.
powerful. Yeah.
And she's awesome. And her mom worked for me. And I mean, this girl's a stud.
Right.
But it was, and we came in the office one day and she's talking and I said, do you ever listen to yourself?
Right.
And she goes, what do you mean? And I said, all you do is just make comments about how you hate this job and around me.
Oh, wow.
No, I don't. She never realized it. Never realized it. I said, you talk about hating this job, but yet you don't want to go do anything different.
Right.
So I don't get it. Help me understand.
What's going on?
And I sit down and listen, and she's like, fumbling for words, and we have a great conversation. And so I think the feedback piece, where I don't know that we do it well on a weekly basis,
Right.
or a timely basis, but I do think we do it well when there is a true cancer in the team.
Absolutely.
Then we go attack it pretty fast.
I love
and
that.
I do feel like we do that well. But I think we could be better at the weekly or maybe a reoccurring.
Right.
We've got a tool we're going to be unleashing for that, but it's just not ready yet.
Not ready yet.
Not
Cool.
ready yet.
So I think something that you said that we need to kind of not circle back to, but just hit on a little bit here is when the young man sat down to like have his break, snack time, whatever, and you said, okay, here's a window. You did something really powerful. You sat down with him and you began the conversation, but pretty quickly you said, hey, are you ready? And are you willing to hear this?
Right.
You asked for permission. And I think that's unbelievably powerful. It's like if a friend comes to me, like if you came to me next week and you said, hey, Chip, I want to lose 10 pounds in the next 10 weeks. One of the first things I would do is I would say, man, I love that. Let's go.
Right.
How can I help? And then the next thing I would say is, can I give you a hard time about it? Can I check up on you? I'm asking for permission to hold you accountable.
Right.
And I think that's a really powerful piece of what you said in that feedback loop. Hey, can I tell you some things? Can we talk heart to heart and be honest here? Right.
Yeah. So I had to learn that the hard way.
Don't we all?
We went through this great program called Teamalytics.
Right.
And it was all this really feedback that your team gives you.
Right.
I never realized, and I think we've talked about this before, but the physical energy that I give off
Yes.
is super intimidating to my team.
Yes.
I had no clue.
Right.
Even when I'm happy and fun, they're like, what is going, like, dude.
Well, I want to speak to this a little bit because
Yeah.
for you guys that don't see Brian is 6'2"-ish.
6'2", 220.
Yeah. Very physically fit, stupid strong physically, and you have a presence about you. When you walk in the room, it's a commanding presence, which I think is awesome. But that's kind of what you're alluding to.
Yeah.
And you don't realize how much that impacts
Yeah,
people.
when you don't know it,
Yeah.
or you don't think you are. So I grew up playing football, and I got to play in college, and I'm the little guy. I mean, seriously. I mean, I'm hanging out with linemen who are 6'5", 300 plus, and I'm going, God bless, you guys are massive. You want to wrestle? I'm like, no. But yes, but no. And so my team was giving me this feedback of, one, your physical presence is really intimidating.
Right.
And so that was awesome for me
Yeah.
to finally get to learn that, because I'm just walking in like, hey, here we go, guys. We're having fun. And then just your words really mean a lot.
Yes.
And so having that retold, even though I knew that,
Yes.
but having my team tell me,
Right.
really be careful how you talk to us,
Yes.
was a great reminder of, okay, I need to ask permission sometimes, because I'm probably steamrolling but I don't know it.
You don't even
and I think
realize
I'm
it,
being gentle.
Right.
And they're like, get off my face. You're hurting me. And right. And so that was a hard lesson that I had to, have my own team tell me. And I'm so grateful and thankful that they did.
I think that can be a common problem in the martial arts world because, I hate the idea of people being put on a pedestal. I don't ever want to be on a pedestal. I'm just a guy like you that puts my pants on one leg at a time.
Yep.
But I think when you do train for years, you do have a lot of experience and capacity with martial arts. you have stripes on your belt or you have this rank, and people immediately kind of get when you come in the room anyway. So it's a tough.
Can I give you a compliment?
Yes, sir.
So my brother has come once, and he's always wanted to come roll, but he came and watched one time,
Right.
like when I first started, and we're driving home, and he said, "That's so cool that Chip wears a purple belt." And I said, "Okay, why?" And he goes, "Because he is so far advanced past that,
Right.
but it's still cool that he honors
Right.
the system, you know, kind of thing." And so,
Well, thank you for that.
Kudos to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that. That's very kind.
But I think that speaks to us as leaders, right?
Yes, sir.
Is we're not above anybody.
No, not at all.
We're just willing sometimes to do the harder things.
Well, a hard lesson for me on multiple occasions early in our martial arts school, and I think I've probably talked about this a little bit before, but I'm very type A. Like I am driven.
Yeah.
And I'm also a little introverted. Like I'm not a big social guy. I can meld into a social group and be fine. I don't enjoy it. I'm not really that comfortable with it most of the time. So, but anyway, the point is Glenn Ann would get phone calls sometimes at the front counter, or our program director would get phone calls. Like someone would be upset. Like, what what happened? Chip walked through the lobby and ignored me, or Chip walked through the lobby and didn't speak, or Chip sincerely, like we were getting complaints. And Glenn Ann's like, babe, you've got to slow down when you come through the building. Yeah. You've got to look people in the eye. And I think back, and I can't remember where I read it, but maybe the kind of the management by walking around concept, like you got to slow down in the crowd. You got to make that eye contact. I really had to put some serious effort into that, and I still struggle with it. Like I'll just blow through because I'm on a mission to go get ABC done, right? And so I think that can be very difficult anyway. But that was a big learning experience for me, like literally having grown men complain to my wife because I hurt their feelings, like seriously. And I'm like, wow. And I had to really back up a little bit and look at it and think, okay, I do get it. Maybe my demeanor is not real happy. I'm just kind of on a mission to get some things done. And, so I've really
that's awesome, because that's one of the questions I ask my team when I'm meeting with them one-on-one is anything else I can do better for you? And every now and then I'll go, okay, what is something I do that I need to keep doing?
Yes.
You know, the whole keep, stop, start.
Yes.
And they're like, when you come in, keep going around and saying hi to everybody.
Love it.
And that's one of the things that I try and do. Like when I go to the restaurant later, I go through the entire restaurant just telling everybody hi.
Love that. I need to do that better.
10 seconds. 10 seconds, but just tell them to be on your left side too, right? That's,
all right, smart.
You have an advantage over some of us,
and
disadvantage, right?
Very, very cool. Well, man, we've covered a lot of territory. It is, very, very. We've covered a ton of stuff. Let's just very quickly throw the word culture in there. When I say culture to you, kind of, what does that mean?
Killer. Culture kills strategy.
Yes.
Culture is it.
Yes.
Culture's it.
Yes.
And if you don't spend, I don't know, as I'm getting older and I've been doing this now for 22, 23 years, it's almost one of those, I'm believing it more and more.
Yes, sir.
And trying to be intentional about it more and more.
Yes, sir.
But it's becoming harder and harder. And so I don't have the answer for the balance on this.
Yeah.
But I do know that that's where I'm spending a lot of time thinking of, okay, how do I strengthen culture in a fast-moving, fast-changing cell phone world?
Yes.
But also, I mean, my culture is reaching the community.
Right.
And so, I've got my business culture, but my brand right now is enormously community
impactful. Yeah.
It's a worldwide, well, not world. Well, yeah, actually we are worldwide.
It is worldwide.
But we're taking our culture to the world.
Right.
How do we even do that well? So, I mean, that's a big word right now.
It is.
Right.
It is. One of the things that I say a lot is, people don't, and this is probably cliche, they don't quit a job most of the time. They quit a boss or a bad culture. And then I usually qualify that with, if a culture is off or bad, it's probably because the boss has allowed that.
Agreed.
You made a comment earlier about, the young man that was having some, maybe some behavior issues or wasn't his best, and you had that transparent talk with him. And you said, you're drawing people to the dark side. Well, as leaders, if we let that happen, we're kind of putting almost a little stamp of approval on it. in a way.
100% agreed.
And if we allow it, so I love what you said. When the cancer pops up, you hit it fast. Boom. We gotta nail this and get it controlled. And that's really powerful in culture.
The other hard part for us with culture is we are moving so fast.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And so, I mean, it's for an hour and a half of your life, you're hungry, and most people are in a bad mood when they're hungry. And that's when you come visit me. Yay. Right?
So,
yeah,
there's an acronym. I don't know if you've heard this. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. HALT. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired.
I've never heard that, but I like it.
So real quick, if you think about when Jesus went into the forest, the desert to meet the devil.
Yeah.
He fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. He was hungry. He was probably a little angry. He was lonely.
Yeah.
And he was very tired. And he still smashed the devil in that time. But I just find that a very interesting thing. People come to you when they're hungry. And a lot of times they're tired because they've been working. Yeah, so that's a tough time to deal with people.
It can be. And so, okay, how do you strengthen that? How do we have a positive, good, my pleasure culture?
Yes.
In times like that.
Absolutely.
So it's very humbling. We don't take it lightly, but it's also very challenging too.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
Just trying to keep, and I think one of the things that we're trying to do in my restaurant is just, what are you feeding your team all the time? So whether it's nuggets of like
literal chicken nuggets?
Yeah, right. One. That's a good one. I shouldn't have used that. I even say it, I don't even realize it.
You walked into that.
But just little bits of scripture,
right.
or hey, I read this, or hey, here's a quick video. I mean, we're trying to just, if you're going to consume something, we're giving you options.
And it's positive options.
Always.
Yeah, yep. I love that.
Always.
We do the same. We have a required reading for our instructors, for our leadership team. We have ongoing required reading that we do. And then we discuss those things weekly or bi-weekly. What did you read? What did you get out of that? How can we apply that? I think that's really powerful.
Yeah.
I love that you're doing that. So super cool. Man, we've covered a ton of territory. I was wanting to ask you, real quick, I made the comment earlier, you're kind of fishing in the ocean for kids to come in and come to work for you.
Yeah.
In the martial arts world, a lot of times, not always, we kind of hire from the inside. So we have a kid that's trained for 5, 6, sometimes 10 years, and they transition into being an instructor. They know our expectations. They know our culture. What's it like fishing in that ocean?
I'm so jealous of you guys who run martial arts schools because if your employees are being boneheads, you can actually say, hey, let's go train on the mat together. And you can take your frustration out on them. You don't know what I would give to be able to do that. And so awesome on y'all. Repeat the question again, because that's all I was thinking about. Yeah. I'm sorry. I got off track.
Jealousy got in the way.
Yeah, jealousy got in the way, and that's bad. That's not good.
No,
but how are we recruiting?
Yeah, how do you recruit, and what's it like kind of fishing in that big ocean and having someone that's just completely, I don't know how to say it, but cold walking in and they don't know anything about you?
So the nice thing is I can speak to this now and back in the day. Back in the day, we were recruiting people to come work at Chick-fil-A, and they're going, what? How do you pronounce it? And what do y'all do again? And so fish or chicken, what do you do? And so that was really cool, but also very hard because you are literally, I mean, hey, nice to meet you.
Right.
You ever thought about, that kind of thing? Now the brand is stronger, and probably like you guys in your schools, once you get one good one, they tend to bring a couple.
Yes.
And that's been an awesome recruiting tool.
Yes.
But then really, I have found a niche with, we as America, bring me your tired, hungry, sick. I've attracted some of those kids that really haven't found a home anywhere else, whether it's sports, music, anything extracurricular. I'm just going to go work. And all of a sudden they show up and then they're bought in.
They're part of something bigger.
They're a part of something bigger, and this is their team. This is their thing. And so we've really done well in that arena.
Awesome.
We've also had big success with second chance hiring. And so we've hired a lot of ex-female felon.
Yes.
And that has been unbelievably rewarding for both parties.
Yep.
And that's been awesome. But as far as just the young people, going after young people, it's just, what's your value proposition? Are they going to, if you own a restaurant, I would recommend give them a free meal.
Right.
They care about that.
Absolutely.
But are you treating them right? Are you being flexible with your schedule? Are you competitive with wages,
Right.
because they can go anywhere right now and make, to me, for a 14-year-old, like my son can go next summer and probably make $15 an hour.
Right.
And I'm just like, I made $3.15 in my first job.
Right.
I don't know what you made. I think probably a little less.
It was
maybe.
a little less.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm going, $15 and you don't have a car. And so just realizing that they have no concept of that.
Right.
And we can't hold that against them.
Right.
And so, but what we can do is say, hey, this is who we are, and we would love for you to join us.
Mm-hmm.
And we think you can make us better.
We think you can make us better. I love what you just said right
Yeah.
there. You're
Yeah.
giving them kind of empowering them. That's empowerment
Yes.
language. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that pops in my head is something that Hanshi Kovar talks about is hire them right, train them right, treat them right.
Yes.
And I think that's what you're saying. You try to hire right, you train them right, you pour into them, and you treat them right. So I don't know, people out there, if you're just listening to the audio, Brian has a sincere passion for pouring into these kids' lives.
Yes.
And I think that makes a difference. You're passionate about your job, your life, your career, but you're passionate about giving back and serving.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, you're an unbelievable servant. And I think that some people could take that as not a compliment, but that's a compliment.
No,
It's
I would
amazing.
definitely, because I mean,
it's just it's palpable. You can feel it, you can taste it. I love getting to talk to these kids and help them see a better way or pour into them. So that's good. And I think that's something we should all be doing in our businesses.
well, if you and I are going to sit here and claim that Jesus is our leader and that's who we're trying to follow.
Absolutely.
I mean, what better servant leader than him?
There's none. There's none.
That's probably one of my favorite books is Lead Like Jesus.
Lead Like Jesus. Yes, sir.
Oh my gosh.
I've read it. It's been a while, but I have read that one.
Knocks me on my
shelf
knees.
behind you over there.
Every time I open just to one page, and I'm like, oh God, all right, here we go. I'm gonna go do that today.
That's
yes,
awesome.
sir.
All right. Well, thinking in terms of, and when I say the word young, I mean just young in a business venture, but like
Right.
young entrepreneur, young in a business, young going into a job. Any last words of wisdom for anybody out there?
It's all who you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's all who you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all who you know. Your skills are going to get you a little bit, but you really need to go out and meet people.
Yes.
And really just take a chance. You have nothing to lose
Right.
by sitting down with somebody and having a conversation. I've got a daughter in college and she is freaking out right now. What am I going to do with my life? And I was like, I don't know, but I don't think you're going to be a teacher. So why are we freaking out about education?
The world is your canvas right now.
I mean, there's a good chance you're going to have 3 or 4 different jobs in your life. I got lucky.
Right.
I'm a one-hit wonder. You're kind of the same way.
Yes,
Not that you got lucky, but you decided this is my avenue and now I'm world class.
Right.
Oh, you got there through hard work, and don't underestimate hard work. Okay.
Let me say amen to that.
So don't underestimate hard work, because the people who are going to rise to the top are the ones willing to do the things that others aren't. And it's not cool to show up on time, and it's not cool to do the hard things. But I'm just going to tell you now, you'll be in a class of your own and you'll be running the world.
Absolutely.
And we will say thank you.
Yeah, yes, we will. That is amazing and good. It's funny you said that, because just this morning, 6 a.m. Jiu-Jitsu, we're in our closeout circle with about 10 or so students, and one of the female students said, I have been struggling to get here. And I said to her, do you know why? And she said, she looked at me and kind of tilted her head like a puppy. And I said, well, if you remember about a month and a half ago, you got sick. Your brother came into town. Your attendance got kind of spotty. I said, so your consistency has been off.
Yeah.
And she said, I know, I've been fighting myself to get here. She said, I made myself come every class this week. And I said, I could not be more proud of you. But hear me. You keep doing what others are not willing to do to have what others will never have.
Amen.
And that's what you just said. And
Say
I thought,
it again.
How funny is that I had that exact conversation this morning with one of the students. So,
yeah.
Well, Brian, Man, I love you, man. I have such a good time with you every time we get together. No matter what it is, we get a good laugh. And
always.
somebody gets choked or something.
Yes.
So it's
usually
awesome.
me. Always me. I was going to say always me because I've never choked you. So that would be.
So
there's a goal, right? There's something to show up for.
Absolutely. Is there anything you want to share as far as connecting with you? Just Southside Abilene Chick-fil-A. If you're a local listener, you guys go by and meet Mr. Brian and meet his team.
So
and
apologies.
Chicken.
I don't really do social media.
Yep,
I mean, we have it all, but I don't know where to tell you to go follow or what to do, that kind of thing. But if you ever want to meet and hang out, I'm at Chick-fil-A off Southwest Drive. You cannot miss me. I am the bald guy walking around, and my team knows exactly who I am. If you say the bald guy walking around, they'll go, oh, yeah, he's over here.
He's over here.
And this is what I love to do. I have a conversation with a leader at least once or twice a week of just life and leadership. Sometimes Chick-fil-A, sometimes not, but just this is one of the passions that I have is just leadership development and pouring into others. So if I can help any of you in any way, that's where I'm at.
Yes, sir. Love it. So you're helping us a ton by being here. Thank you, Brian.
Absolute privilege.
You guys out there, hope you guys enjoyed that. This is packed with nuggets for you. Don't forget to give us a review, give us a rating, subscribe to our podcast. And if you want, reach out to us and let us know some things you'd love to hear. We're so thankful for you, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning into the Team Chip Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget, subscribe, share, and or leave a review because we need you. We appreciate you so much. And without you, we can't make this happen. Remember, consistency is the key to success. So go out there and never be outworked.